has arrived, so the Kansas press conference will start at this time.
Bob, would you repeat that again real quick? You have the floor. No, sounds like to me you haven't. So, all right, fire away.
When teams are just right below you guys are playing, do you watch with rooting interest, or you say, hey, if we take care of business, everything will play out?
I'd say both. You know, if we take care of business, everything will play out fine. But, you know, I'll be honest, I thought last night would have been a great opportunity for my alma mater to play really well. So I'm not going to lie about that. But, you know, Iowa State and Oklahoma both playing well. So, and West Virginia's playing, you know, obviously they just beat us. So, you know, we got a one-game lead on Iowa State with I guess 5 to go for both teams, and a couple of games up in the loss column on OU in West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. And then so you know, ball's in our court. We need to play well, hold serve at home, and then go play better on the road than what we've been playing.
You talked a little bit about rebounding during the Big 12 season. What did you see when you watched the film of the West Virginia game?
Well, a lot of long shots mean long rebounds, and you know we don't have a good defensive rebounding team per se from a size standpoint. And so if you're not gonna, if you're not big and you know just get inside your area or 50-50 balls because of length or whatnot, then you need to do some things from a physical standpoint to put you in better position to get those rebounds, and you got to hit somebody air position. Your rotation rebounding's got to be better because we're not going to win a lot of jump balls with our standing height, and so with our bigs. So you know, if you don't put a body on physical guys, then obviously they control you, and one shove, not necessarily a foul, but one hard move that creates contact, you know, can displace you, and all of a sudden it becomes jump balls, and we're not good enough or big enough to do that. So, and our guards have to clean up. I mean, Frank and Wayne and Kelly and Brandon Devontae are all doing a poor job. Kelly's the best of the 5, but all doing a poor job of running down long rebounds and cleaning up.
You think that'll be an area of focus, especially with what TCU did on the offensive glass in Fort Worth?
Yeah. You know, sometimes offensive rebounding is a little misleading because so much of it's based on your shooting percentages. So if you shoot 50% and if you take 40 shots and you make 20 of them, get 10 of them back, that's really poor rebounding. You know, if you shoot 60 shots and make 20 and get 15 back, it's much better rebounding than actually the 10, you know, because from a percentage standpoint. But you even look at our percentages in securing defensive boards, and we've gone from first to 5th or 6th in the league, you know, in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So obviously TCU is playing much better. They were terrific last night. But a lot of times their best offense is going and getting it off the glass, and so we got to do a much better job. We were really poor in Fort Worth with that.
Coach, how concerned are you the way your team has played away from the field house this season?
To be honest, I think we played pretty well. You know, you go to Morgantown and you know you have the ball, make a free throw, make a layup. Whatever, and you game, and they made the plays late and we didn't. But if you winning on the road against top 20 teams isn't the easiest, or top 25 teams isn't the easiest task. So I think you know, Kentucky game was obviously, Temple game was bad. Other than that, you know, we down 4 with 30 seconds left at Ames. You know, had Oklahoma State down 12 and didn't close. Had West Virginia down, 3 or 4 under 2 minutes. I mean, so you know, that's not poor play. That's just, we just didn't finish. You know, other teams try hard too, and they have good players, and sometimes it just doesn't work it out.
At the end of that West Virginia game, were the rest of the players kind of telling Perry to keep his head up the way it ended?
I think everybody was. Yeah. But it wasn't on. It wasn't on one play doesn't decide a game, even though everything's magnified. Coach Sutton used to always say that all phases of games are most important, but the last 5 minutes is far the most important. But the reason it's most important because you don't have time to recover from mistakes, and there's a lot of teams there's a lot more teams losing games than winning games. I mean that's the way it works. I mean you see more losing plays than winning plays to end a game, and that's the way it's always going to be. And in that particular game, Perry played great. I was so pleased with Perry's play, and not knowing the time, it's hard to know the time in a situation like that. And he probably rushed a little bit, but he was also a little off balance. But numerous opportunities to secure a rebound, to handle pressure better the first half, whatever it was, to put us in a position where it wouldn't come down to one play. So I know Perry was down about that, but he's had time to recover. He'll be fine.
Is that a sign of maturity for Perry to put himself in a position like that to make that play?
You can say yes, but I mean, you got to make the play. I mean, the whole deal is you score, you get it out, you throw it long, whoever's nearest run. I mean, it wasn't a complicated situation. So I don't know if that's maturity or whatever, but I would hope any player would react that way, to put himself in a position with 3 seconds left in the ball game, down one, to at least be aggressive. And so I'm not going to give it. I'm not going to say it's because of maturity, but I could tell you maybe it's because of intellect or IQ to put himself in that position.
What's the game plan to contain Kean Anderson, who had 17 points in the earlier matchup in Fort Worth?
Yeah, I think he had like 23 on us in the first half last year, and we didn't do a good job with him at all. But Frank and Devontae have to be good. Our ball screen defense has to be better, and then of course we got to keep him out of the paint, and I mean that even from a running start, from an offensive rebounding standpoint, we need to make sure that we keep them away from the basket as much as possible, which we didn't do a very good job of the first time at all. But he's a nice player, and he controls their team. I don't know how many he had last night, but I don't think he scored a lot last night, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can help me out, but I know at one point it wasn't like he was scoring, but he totally controlled the game with the pace. He's a good player.
It's being so close to the game down in Dallas or Arlington, Fort Worth. With the players, is that enough for the players to realize you could lose this game?
I've always said that if you're going to play somebody twice, you want to win, but if you can make a perfect scenario, make the first game a hard game, and that was what was happened. So I think that. Obviously, what happened with Oklahoma State, with what happened with Kansas State, and then what happened with us down there are 3 good reminders that they're capable of playing with anybody.
Do you use the Big 12 race now? Each game fired up even more. I mean, are you going to start? Is it crunch time?
Yeah, it is. It's we're in the last 2.5 weeks, and certainly I think we talked yesterday that I could be off base, but what is there, 17 days left in the regular season or something like that? So, I mean, obviously it's down to crunch time, and but that's the way. That's what I told our guys. I said that's the way you want it. That's the way it should be. You should have to play well to win a league. I mean, that's the way it is, and so certainly we put ourselves in a position that if we're successful, we'll put ourselves in a great spot. But I'm not banking on anybody behind us losing. I'm banking on everybody winning, and that obviously puts pressure / motivation on us to continue to do so as well.
How's Frank's stamina holding up at the end of games since he plays so much?
He's done great. He got so tired the other night, but how about bringing it up every time? And most times you bring it up, you got to go full speed because you got 2 guys running at you. And he chased Staten around. And something else that's really tiring when you give up second shots or third shots, you don't play defense for 30 seconds. You're playing defense for a minute, and so. Yeah, he got tired. You can't take him out in the last 5 minutes, obviously, but he was certainly fatigued down the stretch.
What's one thing you've seen in TCU that they have changed since they just won their last 2 games?
Well, their offenses, they're making more shots and they look more confident to me. You know, I've always thought they were a good defensive team and they've been a good rebounding team, but to me, they're like playing to win, playing with purpose, playing with confidence. And you know, last night, the first half, they were really, really good, really good. And the second half against Oklahoma State, they were really good. I mean, they put together some, and they were really good against us the second half for the most part. So, you know, Trent and his staff, they've done a good job. Their guys seem more confident, and looks like to me they're having fun playing.
Was Shepard a guy you went after?
Yeah, we recruited Kavar. Yeah, we recruited Kavar. You know, obviously he's very skilled and can shoot face-up jumper about as well as any big in our league.
Well, you guys have obviously got the Big 12 race to focus on, but at this time of year, you guys have been at it for 4 or 5 months, and probably is this the time of the year when guys tend to lose focus a little bit, or where it's tough to keep guys totally motivated?
You know, I don't know. I think this is, you know, if in Major League Baseball if August are the dog days, then in college basketball you'd say February would be the dog days. So everybody's going to get their breath and for the stretch run, but this is probably, you know, key times to make sure you're at your best or as close to your best as you can possibly be. But keeping guys motivated, things like I don't know that that's going to play into it, but I do think fatigue can play into it. And when guys' bodies get tired, their brains get a little tired, and this is a time of year, I think, when teams start getting tired.
Do you roll it back in practice then, as far as physical, or do you do the same?
Well, we haven't practiced long. I'm not a long practice guy once we start the season. So today we'll go hard. We'll go for an hour and 15 minutes, you know. And so, but I used to be a guy, you know, hey, we're going to go till we get it right, and sometimes that would take 2.5, 3 hours, and yeah, I don't think you can do that. I think it's more important to have fresh legs and fresh minds than it is to continually to drill them during practice. So we'll have our points of emphasis. Yesterday we practiced for about an hour and 20 minutes on a lot of situational stuff, and we'll practice hard today and tomorrow, but our hard practice will only be about 75 minutes.
Coach, I think you've got 4 guys averaging double figures since conference play came around. Do you like the balanced scoring of this team?
Well, I don't think we score enough points, but I do like the balance that we have. You know, to me, you know, how you get to 80 or whatever the number is almost irrelevant. One guy getting 22 or one guy or your leading scorer average 13. But I know the hardest teams that we've had to guard here are the teams where you can score from all 5 spots, without question. I mean, those have been the most successful offensive teams we have, and that we've had, and this team is getting better at that. We still don't have consistent low post scoring at all, but certainly I think we're more balanced than we were earlier in the year.
Is Devontae giving you what you want?
Well, he's a good player, but I didn't think he was his best in Morgantown. So I do think we need a little bit more from him. And that's not being critical at all. That's just factual in large part, because if he gives us a little bit more, then Frank doesn't play as many minutes too. So, but it was hard to take Frank out of the game, Morgantown, when things go bad, because you know Devontae had 3 quick turnovers and that kind of stuff, and we need to get Frank back in there. But Devontae, I think Devontae can do some more positive things. He's certainly shown us he can.
Is there anything that Landon's done recently? He's played well the last couple of games that maybe set him apart from some other big man in practice?
Well, he has played good in the games. There's no question. But the last 2 games, it's easier for him to play good than it is Cliff. Without being critical, I mean, Landon's much better against the zone, especially a distorted zone, because he has a feel on gaps and how to play, and he's much better against pressure, handling the ball and passing the ball than Cliff. So it was probably easier for him to look better in the last 2 games than Cliff. But I'm pleased with Landon, and you know, he's even the free throw he missed the other day late. Guy is soft. I mean, he just but he's played well, and he's certainly given us much more depth back there.
I'm just curious. Cliff's had the back issue for a little bit, and he's had the chest thing. And
Yeah.
How's his body? Is it holding up pretty well?
I think Cliff's body probably feels more beat up than it ever has in his life, But I think he's holding up fine. You know, he's a bruised sternum isn't fun. You know, you have a bruised sternum every time you get a hit, it hurts. And then, you know, he has had some other things, but you know what? Everybody's got something, especially this time of year. So to me, those are, I mean, when people don't feel good, obviously you want them to feel better and that stuff, but you also got to will yourself to, hey, I'm fine. And because as soon as you start believing that something's wrong with you, your brain will tell your body that it is. And he doesn't have anything that should remotely keep him from playing at a high level.
Bill, you talked about the stretch run coming up. Is there an area or a focus that you really would like to get better at before the postseason stuff starts?
Well, you know, our first shot defense has gotten so much better, but I would hope that we could get better rebounding the ball and stealing extra possessions that way. To me, that's about as important thing as we can do. We've said all along that we want to score the ball on the block more, and that hasn't really happened. But there's ways that I think that we've done some things to get the ball to the block and actually score close to the basket without actually saying you got to post it to score close to the basket. So I think that's positive. I think the biggest thing is tightening up our defense, tightening up our rebounding, and certainly, you know, offensively, you know, just do what we do and execute the few things we do. We're not asking our guys to make great plays. All we're doing is just ask them to carry out assignments. And I do believe if we could get, you know, our bigs posting stronger and doing some things, we can get to the free throw line more and things like that. Because if you followed us, we're not shooting any free throws. I mean, we had made, going into conference play, we had made a ton more free throws against a quality schedule than our opponents have even attempted, and it's not close to that. I mean, we're not shooting very many free throws at all. West Virginia, what were we, 9 of 14 or?
11.
Huh?
11 total.
7 of 11 against West Virginia. You know, and their opponents probably on an average are shooting 25 at least. So we got to do a better job of attacking and getting to the free throw line and making officials call something, because I think that's what people are doing to us.
Coach, a lot of fans this year have been taken to social media lately and talking about the role of the intro video at the Allen Fieldhouse. What role do you think the
What now?
The role of the intro videos at the Allen Fieldhouse, the fans have been talking about on social media. What do you think the role is for the intro video? What does that play for the atmosphere?
Well, I think that we have the best you know, there's been some pretty cool. Texas was pretty cool. There's been some pretty cool pregame deals, but you know, none of them rival what our people do. I mean, it's the best. And you know, one thing about our atmosphere, which is absolutely the best, it also gets your opponents more excited to play in an atmosphere that's the best. I mean that's the reality of it. So I think it just makes for more atmosphere and for more energy. And I think that helps us, but I also think it raises the level of opponents too, which is good. I mean, that's what you want. You want good ball. So, but it's great. Mike Lickard and his staff, they do the best job, and it's awesome. I love watching it every time. And I know exactly what's going to happen. I know Paul Pierce is going to go baseline and dunk it, and I know Mario's going to get a little pitch back and make a three, and then you get obviously a chance to hear Bob Davis voiceover on. I mean, that's what really gets me excited. But it's great. It's great. I still get excited every time I watch it, and I know exactly what's going to happen.
For the games?
Yeah, but you know what? Who cares if it pumps me up? I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with us winning or not. But I think it pumps our players up for sure. Yeah, for sure. I think it helps our guys get going. But to me, you know, I don't think whether or not I'm jacked from a song or from a video has a lot of input on actual play during the game. But I do think it has a lot of input on our players, though.
I don't know if you even hear it, but if you do you get a kick out of it when you miss 4 straight layups and a fan will scream, "Come on, Self."
I didn't know any fans ever screamed that. You know, I that can happen, and of course it's happened a lot this year that we've missed some shots in a row or made some bad plays, and you know, that's the one thing about ball, or you know, any sport, but you know, a lot of times it's you know, you watch Carolina and Duke last night. You know, 90% free throw shooter goes the line, and he shoots it short, and that gave Duke obviously a chance to win, and so you do everything right, the right guys on the line, you foul, you know, and you know, Landon the other day, and Landon's 16 of 18 in the league from the line, you know, and so you have your best free throw shooter statistically, even better than Brandon Green shooting the free throw against West Virginia, and it just doesn't happen, and it doesn't work out, and so I would imagine that when Landon or Cliff, when they fan that ball out and it goes in the third row, which we've done several times in the last couple of games, I can see everybody saying that that's the coach's fault, because obviously why would you let them pass it, you know? So, but that's the nature of the business. That's okay.
All right, Coach.
All right.
Thanks.